So you already had the paperwork for the divorce written up. What do you think about that? You were frightened, weren't you? For the reason that I am prepared to deal with this at any time, you had better calm down and give some thought to what you just stated. Following that, my husband Ethan got up and went to his room to complete his work. My name is Maya. I am 29 years old. My husband Ethan and I tied the knot a year ago. He chased me after we had a chance encounter on a blind date. The wedding took place after we had been dating for a year and a half. I believe that we got married a little too soon, but I have always believed that I wanted to get married and have children before I turned 30, so I accepted his proposal. It wasn't until much later that I understood I ought to have been more cautious. The fact that Ethan changed his work as soon as we got married was the first thing that caught me off guard. "I'm changing jobs," Ethan announced out of the blue. The question that I posed to him was, why all of a sudden? He responded by saying, "Because I can't show my full potential there." My first thought was, what the heck? On the other hand, he informed me that he had already handed in his resignation and that he would be leaving till the end of the month. He was able to secure the position he desired, but the compensation was smaller than the one he had been receiving previously. Due to the fact that I was also employed, I believed that it was acceptable. Nonetheless, Ethan began to request that I stop my job. If the cash that Ethan brought in was sufficient to sustain both of us, then I would have been fine with quitting. However, as I indicated before, he recently changed employment, and as a result, his compensation has decreased. We do not know when Ethan's salary will be increased, but he has stated that it would happen in the near future. It would be quite difficult for us to pay for things like rent and car expenses if I were to quit my job at this time because we would not be able to save any money. In a nutshell, we were unable to make ends meet just on Ethan's pay. I responded to Ethan by saying, "I won't quit my job until your salary goes up." Although Ethan appeared to agree with me, he continued to push me to leave my position. Every time I responded to him with the same response. The pay of Ethan has not increased despite the fact that we have been married for a year at this point. When he keeps asking me, "When are you going to quit?" I am really tempted to respond with a sarcastic, "Now," and then I would tell him, "I'm just kidding and I can't quit yet." If he wants me to resign so badly, he ought to earn more money. My impression is that he needs to concentrate on his own work before continuously requesting that I leave my position. I once pondered the reason behind Ethan's intense desire for me to resign from my position, and I eventually came up with an explanation. I had the impression that Ethan would like me to look after his mother, Linda. "I just want to make things easier for you, Mom," Ethan would frequently say to Linda whenever we went to see my in-laws at their home. Ethan would continue by saying, "But we're both working," while giving me a thoughtful look. Linda would then cordially thank him for his assistance. It felt as if he was trying to convince me to quit my work in a subtle way. Although he asserts that his mother requires assistance, Linda is not in fact ill and does not require medical attention. Her health is good, and she is very active. She is able to maintain a life that is satisfying, as well as support her interests and social activities, thanks to the income she receives from her part-time employment. Realistically speaking, she does not require any assistance from me at all. If I were in Linda's position, I would be dismayed to be perceived as require care when I am completely capable of taking care of myself. On the other hand, Ethan is going to keep insisting that I look after Linda. Ethan abruptly expressed his ideas. "Oh, if only one of us were home during the day, we could go check on Mom every day." And he was right. It seemed as though he wanted me to take a daily trip to the home of my in-laws. I persisted in asking my husband, "Linda is perfectly healthy. What exactly do you expect me to do?" Despite the fact that hearing this was exhausting, a matter-of-fact response was given by Ethan, who stated, "There are a lot of things you could do. You could help with housework or run errands. There is a lot to assist her with. But Linda works part-time and spends time with her friends during the day, so she's not home much, right?" I responded in response. When Ethan asked me, "Even if Mom isn't home, you could still handle the housework, couldn't you?" I was very perplexed by his statement. What is he trying to say? Is it expected of me to serve as her maid? The concept occurred to me. It appears that Ethan is quite concerned about his image, particularly when it comes to speaking in front of his parents. Considering how committed he is to take care of them, he ought to take care of the chores around the house by himself. Due to the fact that I did not wish to give Ethan the satisfaction of being proud, I did not quit my work and I did not go to see my in-laws on my days off. On the other hand, I did make it a point to pay them a visit around the holidays, such as New Year's. In retrospect, I realized that Ethan frequently assigned me jobs whenever we went to visit my in-laws together. Although he would ask me to clean up, help his mother, check to see if anything was required from the shop, and other similar requests, I never fulfilled any of these demands. As a response to his request that I go to the store, I would remark, "Don't you know more about this area than I do?" He would then answer by saying that it would be illogical for him to go to the store. In all honesty, I don't get his line of thinking. It appears that all he wants is to exert his authority over me and boast about the fact that he is taking care of his parents. Doesn't it not? Over the course of time, that is how I began to perceive Ethan. The possibility exists that he is more concerned with how he looks than he is with how he actually feels about me. The moment I confidently challenged him, "Why don't you pitch in or quit your job to care for your own mother?" He appeared to be in a state of tremendous discomfort and had a disgusted expression on his face. "That's not something I'm supposed to do. I'm giving you these instructions so that my mom will think that you are a considerate, useful wife. I hope you realize how kind I am to you," he stated in response. In other words, he wants to let his wife handle all of the challenging responsibilities so that he can brag about how terrific he is, as if it were something truly extraordinary. To put it simply, I am not his servant or slave, and I do not deserve to be treated disrespectfully in front of my in-laws. In the event that Ethan continues to make demands that are irrational, I will not remain silent. I am going to advocate for myself. But Ethan has not changed despite the fact that we have talked to him. Additionally, whenever we travel to visit my in-laws, he continues to give me commands, exactly like he did in the past. He continues to question, "Are you going to quit your job?" I reached my limit and made the decision to talk about it with him. "I think we need to talk about our future," I stated in response. "Huh, what are you even trying to say?" "I'm honestly fed up. I'm tired of you constantly asking me when I'll quit my job. I'm exhausted from you pressuring me to take care of Linda." "Why are you fed up with that? You're my wife, and it's your duty to care for your husband's parents. Don't you think that's a huge responsibility for me? Shouldn't you, as their biological child, be responsible for helping with the housework and taking care of your own parents in the first place?" "No way. It's the wife's duty to do it. Are you the kind of person who doesn't care about family? I'm really disappointed to hear you say that." "Then let me ask you this. How have you been taking care of my parents? If I asked you to care for my parents, would you do it then?" I inquired with curiosity. Ethan looked at me in a blank stare. "What are you saying? Why should a husband take care of his wife's parents?" "Does that mean you won't take care of my parents now or ever? The husband's parents and wife's parents are completely different," I asked with urgency. "What difference does that make anyway? I don't get it." "I didn't realize you were so clueless. It's like talking to my old boss," I continued to say. Ethan, the one who was perplexed, asked, "What are you saying?" "I'm saying the husband's parents should come first. You should take care of your wife's parents," I said with clarification. My exclamation was, "What?" "So you only prioritize your own blood-related family. I'm so disappointed in you. I won't be visiting your parents anymore." "Ha, why would you do that? Enough is enough. I'm the one who wants you to stop this nonsense," I responded in response. "No way. How dare you talk back like that?" "My mother is right," Ethan shot out. "I just don't believe it." As Ethan finished his sentence, he took a piece of paper out of his suitcase and remarked, Mom was talking about you. She said you're a badly behaved wife. That's why she gave me this." It was paperwork for a divorce. I was taken aback when I overheard Ethan saying, "What, you already had divorce papers ready?" Ethan appeared to be unusually proud. A smug declaration was made by Ethan before he went to his room. "See, I scared you, didn't I? I'm prepared for this any time, so think about what you just said, he added. It is incomprehensible. Why does Ethan act in such a self-centered manner? The triumphant expression that he wore on his face. The divorce papers are obviously a threat to force me to obey him, as they are a threat. I became much more dubious of the situation when I learned that Linda was involved. While he is attempting to exert control over me, Ethan is behaving in a manner that is reminiscent of a puppet for his mother. It's completely absurd. Even if Ethan gets his way, I won't allow him. How could he possibly be unaware that our marriage is in jeopardy when he behaves in such a manner? His inability to comprehend only serves to aggravate me further. Ethan had already finished the divorce paperwork and presented it to me along with witnesses, which included Linda and his buddies. There were other witnesses there. To put it another way, I was free to sign and file them whenever I pleased. Following Ethan's return to work the following day, I proceeded to complete the divorce paperwork and deliver it to the city office. As an additional measure of safety, I also submitted a warning that the marriage certificate would not be accepted. The issue was conveyed to my parents over the phone, and I did so with the knowledge that Ethan might threaten to file the marriage certificate on his own if he found out about it. Even though they were surprised to learn that I had already completed the divorce papers, my parents were completely on board with my decision. They were so outraged by Ethan's actions that they volunteered to assist me in moving my possessions as soon as possible. During the time that Ethan was away, I took a leave of absence from work and asked my parents to come over and move all of my belongings to their respective homes. I made the decision to live with my parents for a period of time. Having the opportunity to spend time at their residence was the first time in a very long time that I felt at peace and comfortable feeling. When I think back on it, I realize that Ethan never did any of the chores. After a long day at work, I was responsible for preparing supper and taking care of all the cleaning and laundry on my days off. To add insult to injury, he anticipated that I would take care of my in-laws, which was an impossible task. I received a phone call from Ethan during that evening when he must have just gotten home from work. Hello, hey, where are you right now? I'm at my parents' house. How? Why would you go back to your parents' house without my permission? And there's none of your stuff here. Don't tell me you're staying the night there. Almost laughed out loud. When I had brought the majority of my belongings with me, how could he possibly believe that I was going to stay over? The fact that he even suggested that I move out of the house was a clear demonstration of his self-centeredness. I'm not coming back. Hi, what are you talking about? Come back here and make me some food, Ethan shouted with urgency. I gave a strong response. Please make it yourself. And then I brought the call to a close. If he continued to act in such a manner, I would not approach him with the idea of filing for divorce. Instead of blocking his phone, I made the decision to wait for him to come to my parents' house. In the following week, Ethan made his appearance at my parents' home, although he was not by himself. It was his parents that accompanied him on this trip. Every single one of them wore a solemn expression. I escorted them into the living room, where we were now facing each other in a 3-on-3 situation. How could you do this? How could you leave for so long without my permission? Ethan asked, incredulously. Well, you were treating me like your housekeeper, weren't you? All I asked you to do was to take care of my family, Ethan insisted, his parents appearing severe as they listened to him tell the story. I received a nasty stare from Linda. Don't twist things around. You always find ways to avoid your responsibilities and push them on to others. I've explained this countless times. That is not what I meant. What kind of wife are you if Ethan is doing so much for you? Linda continued to criticize me even after I had finished my sentence. As a result of her statements, my father began to demonstrate signs of rage. Before he had the opportunity to lose his composure, I said, Ethan told me to quit my job and care for Linda, saying it's my duty as his wife. But when it comes to my family, he expects me to handle everything alone. Ultimately, Ethan wants obedience and uses me to care for his parents while taking credit for it. That's why he prioritizes his parents over mine. My father-in-law, George, was perplexed, indicating that he had not heard this previously, but Linda continued to glare at him. Have you heard Ethan say these things? She asked. Ethan abruptly brought up divorce paperwork, alleging that Linda was the one who came up with the idea. "Let's clear the air," he said. With a look of obvious surprise on his face, George asked Linda, "What did you suggest that for?" As Linda stutteringly said, "Oh no, it's because Maya has a problem with her attitude." "And did you really say that Maya's parents aren't a priority?" I demanded further information. "Well, it's only natural that your own parents come first," Linda said in a defensive manner. George jumped up and expressed everything that I had wanted to say. "Don't be absurd. I came here to support you after hearing about the unfair treatment Maya endured. But now it seems you're the one at fault. Don't hide behind your parents' authority to get your way." Ethan visibly shrank in his seat as George gave his response. Next, he expressed his regret to both my parents and myself. "I'm truly sorry for the trouble caused by my foolish son. I will have a serious talk with him." "George, you're not to blame at all, so please don't apologize," I responded in response. I turned to Ethan and asked him, "What do you mean?" with an anxious expression on his face. "Thank you for your kind words, but there's something else I need to say. The divorce papers you gave me, I've already filed them. We're no longer married." Both Ethan and Linda were pale as they asked, "What?" Ethan, who was overcome with amazement, wanted to know, "Why did you file them without my permission?" "You told me I could file them whenever I wanted, and besides, you already filled out your part and had Linda sign as a witness," I said in a calm manner. It was obvious that Ethan was at a loss for words, as he stutteringly said, "Oh, that was. As George became enraged, he stepped in. It was then that he slapped Ethan across the forehead and asked, "Ethan, you used divorce as a threat?" As a result of the confrontation, Linda appeared obviously shaken. "I apologize deeply that you had to witness this. You're right to divorce this fool. On behalf of Ethan, I'm truly sorry for ruining your marriage." George expressed his regret. Before taking Ethan and Linda out of the house, he then grabbed Ethan by the collar and demanded that they both apologize for their actions. Later on, I expressed my gratitude to George for his assistance. Given that Ethan had agreed to the terms of the divorce, he made certain that all of Ethan's assets and property were transferred to me without any alimony being paid. It was a comfort to secure everything from our marriage, despite the fact that I had a bigger income and was responsible for managing our family. As time went on, I found out that George had divorced Linda because he was obviously horrified by her conduct. The other day, I was struck by a coworker from Ethan's previous place of employment who informed me of some unexpected information. Due to the fact that Ethan was not performing well at his job, his supervisor frequently provided him with severe comments. In a show of defiance, Ethan quit his job and found a new one. I was not aware of this, and it only served to increase my level of annoyance with him. Due to the fact that he did not accept responsibility for his inadequacies, he placed blame on others, which most likely contributed to the fact that he was paid less at his new position. Having left him is a relief to me. I have acquired a comfortable apartment, and I am excited to be living on my own. The work is proceeding without any problems. I was even given a raise not too long ago. At this point in time, I am not interested in relationship, and I would rather concentrate on my professional life. Ethan has always been more concerned with his outward appearance than he is with his talents. While he was able to keep up appearances at home, he was not successful in his work life. Regrettably, a significant number of men use threats of divorce as a kind of leverage. It is a significant error on their part to believe that they are powerful. I pray that they come to terms with their foolishness and discover pleasure on their own. With that being said, I am thankful that I have moved on from Ethan. In the future, I am looking forward to having a memorable encounter with someone.